Hi everyone. Welcome to the Kasamba Q&A live. It is so nice to meet many of you here live. I'm LA Spiritual. I have been working on Kasamba part-time since 2015, so 8 years now. Can you believe? So happy New Year to all of you. A little bit about my history with reading. So I started getting interested in doing readings when I was having my spiritual awakening in my early 20s. I actually started on your side of the camera. I was in a relationship that was very, very confusing to me, and I didn't understand how my intuition was leading me in the direction of this person. So I started getting a lot of psychic readings, a lot, many a day. So I know some of you are probably in that boat. And through that process, I started working with advisors who helped me to understand where the line of my gifts were, how to trust my own intuition, and how to embrace the kind of experiences that had been happening to me my whole life psychically that I didn't really understand. So once I had a firm handle and foundation on those in 2015, I decided that I wanted to give back and be helping people that were in the same boat, in the same position as I was. So today, the way that I'm going to structure the live is I'm going to be taking questions. My bread and butter favorite type of reading to do is how is somebody feeling about me? I'm primarily clairsentient, which I'll talk about more in the live, which means I feel emotions as my primary gift. I feel other people's emotions as my primary gift. So that really serves itself in relationship readings very well, but can also be used to look at a coworker or a friend or a boss and see how they're feeling about you. So those are the types of questions I'm going to be taking today. But we're also going to be talking about, it's the first day of the new year, 2023, and so we're going to be talking about how to kind of embrace goal setting and manifesting in a way that's realistic and grounded to you. We'll talk a little bit about psychic gifts. We'll talk about embracing your intuition. We'll talk about how I work. So we're going to do all of those things. I'm really excited to be here with you today. So yeah, that's we'll go ahead and and get started. Can I go ahead and do the first question? All right, so our first question is from Stephanie. Stephanie wants to know about her love life. Will Rodolfo be back to me? Date, and I have both of your date of birth. Is he the one? Okay, great. So while I'm doing this, and I'll talk a little bit more about how I work on a different question, but my perspective, from doing many, many different readings, is what we always see in the energy is there's more than one possible one. Okay, we all have like a group of soulmates. We have dozens of soulmates that can potentially be the one that we end up with. So it's more about how we're navigating those connections, those strong soul connections when we're feeling them. So I always like to take a look at those questions on is he a potential one, not is he the only possible one. Because we don't want to stick our energy. The universe doesn't like that. Okay, so Rodolfo, how is he feeling? All right, so there's a lot of buried emotion here. What we're seeing on the conscious level for him is that he's in a stage where he doesn't fully trust his own emotional responses. He feels a lot like emotions themselves are a burden. So when he has like a strong emotional response, even when it's positive, he kind of gets intimidated by the feeling that he's having. We're seeing a lot of, anything that's kind of outside of the spectrum of him having an outburst. It feels very uncomfortable for him. So in his connection to you, there was a lot of depth of emotion. You brought up a lot of kind of emotions that made him question his emotions himself. And so right now, I feel like he's very dismissive of those feelings because he's trying intentionally not to feel. He's trying to shut down his feelings so that he doesn't have to deal with emotions. The good news here is I do feel like that's unsustainable for him because that's the surface level, right? If we're just looking at top level, what he would say out loud to you. If we're going a little bit below the surface, we see that there's a lot of sense of passion here. There's a lot of sense of love, and there's a lot of him feeling like this is a meant to be connection. So one of the reasons he's being so dismissive of his emotions is because he sees on like his soul level is kind of trying to tell him no, there's more here, embrace that emotion, etc. So I feel like him being dismissive of those emotions is going to be a lengthy process. That's what's keeping him from being back right now, but I do feel that he will be. This is a very intense connection. Make sure that when he is coming back, because I feel like he'll come back in a small way before he's ready to fully embrace the relationship. We're seeing like a little bit of a smaller check-in in a few months. And at that time, make sure that you're really advocating for the kind of relationship that you want and not just taking the small. Because if you do that, that sets you on the path of this being a long-term soulmate connection. That's the imperative moment in time is how you are reacting to the small communication. So is he a possible one? Is he the one to have a family with? Yes. If you are embracing that period of small connection by advocating for your needs and really being detailed about what you want, giving him a roadmap, then it does take that path forward. Yes. Awesome. Let me see in the comments if she has said anything back. Do, 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 do. Before moving on to the next one. Yeah, and for those of you saying, my question's all the way at the top, I have someone behind the scenes pulling questions for me, so don't worry if I haven't answered yours yet. It's in the pile, okay? So let's go ahead and move to the next question. While that's pulling up, I'll tell you guys a little bit about this deck that I use. It's called a Lenormand deck. It is a form of cartomancy that not many people are familiar with. A lot of people are familiar with a tarot reading, right? And in a tarot deck, each card has a specific meaning. The Lenormand is a deck that was made by Marie Lenormand in the 18th century France. And she was the personal psychic to Napoleon Bonaparte and his wife. She actually, this is a fun fact. She told Napoleon's future wife, like early before they were married, that she was going to be empress someday, which didn't make sense because there were no empresses in France at the time. And she was like, yeah, okay. And then, lo and behold. But she made this deck. It's intended to be a clairvoyance enhancement deck. So what it does is instead of reading the deck itself, it is like giving an outline, a story, so that you can go back and like look at it. Like the way that I use it is I'm neurodivergent, and so sometimes my brain gets on tangents. So when I'm doing a reading, I use it as like oh yes, that's where we are in the sentence. That's what aspect of this we are, so that I can be a little bit more succinct in my reading. So that's Lenormand. It's a different type of cartomancy than tarot. So let's do the next question, our next love question. And you're welcome, Stephanie. Okay. Hi, Ella. Can you tell me how Chris feels about me? Of course. I'm seeing a couple comments that are asking, like, is my marriage over, that kind of thing. Make sure when you do those that you're putting both people's first names. I don't need last names. Just first names or both of your initials would suffice, but I do need a name. Okay. How is Chris feeling about you? Hmm. Okay. So Chris has quite a bit of emotional work to be doing. What we're seeing on the conscious level here is that he feels very grounded around you, and he feels very like you are somebody that he can be moving forward with. But he has a lot of resistance to actually taking that action. It's like there's a gap between what he desires and what he's willing to do. And there's this like stubbornness of like, well, the right time to be moving forward will just reveal itself to me. So there is a strong connection. There is a feeling here, but he's getting lost in waiting for the right timing instead of embracing the idea of um creating his own timing, you know what I mean? And so he's letting other aspects of his life kind of take priority. Um so that being said, like beyond him feeling grounded and comfortable, he's focusing more on what he thinks he should feel instead of just feeling. Um, like I'll give an example for that later on, but he is just in his head more than he's in his heart. And so I see that there's very limited emotion here for that reason. It's not anything to do with an attractiveness because we see that very strong that he is attracted. It's just that he gets so in his head and thinks about what he should feel that he thinks his way out of actually experiencing the emotions. And because he's struggling with that, I don't feel like he's going to really let those emotions lift up off the ground. So that's where Chris is at right now. Awesome. Next question, please. Okay, Gina. Hello, my name is Gina, and I would like to I oh reading. I would like to see any love relationships coming to me this year, and it is already okay. So let's take a look at in general what is coming up for Gina. Ooh. Okay, Gina. I have wonderful news. There is this year, you've had several years of lessons. Lesson after lesson after lesson, okay? My fixed sign queen, Scorpio queen. This is gonna be your year. Okay, like wait, what we're seeing in the energy here is this really successful year of like all of the things that you've been working on kind of clicking into place. It's like when you're building a puzzle and you kind of like do the outside and then you're like doing like a clump of stuff over here and you're doing like a clump of stuff over here and then you're like, oh, this is how those things fit together. Oh, this is how these things fit together. And so with all of the work that you've been doing on yourself, it's creating this place where the puzzle can fully come together for you. All of the pieces fit. And so then you're going to be in a new point of attraction for manifestation. Manifestation is a really trendy buzzword in the spiritual community, right? Um, but what manifestation actually is you understanding what the version of yourself that has all of your dreams feels like. What are their daily habits? How do they talk to themselves? That future version of you. How do I talk to myself? How do I feel? What are my daily habits? How do I interact with the people in my life? Right. And when you become a vibrational match for that person by working through the gaps of what's not fitting there, you get to a place where now you're energetically aligned. You become the match for the version of yourself that already has it. And I'm bringing that up because you are there, right? You have done all of the things so that you can become a vibrational match. So this year, in terms of manifesting, it's not just one new man we see in your life. We see like your phone ringing off the hook in the later half of the year. We see men that are like really engaged in wanting to get to know who you are, what your needs are, how they can be a fit, they can step up for you. That's like the shift of like caliber of connection that that fits for you. And I say for you because we're all different, right? We all have different things that stand out to us as like a high caliber connection. But for you, we see somebody that's like really interested in understanding and meeting your emotional needs. So we see that shift happening not just because it's destined to, but because you have been putting the work in really in a beautiful way. Okay. So I do feel like this is going to be new connections for you. And we see you in this energy of focusing less on do they like me, but having the opportunity to focus on do I like them? Are they really a fit for me? And see that shift really happening in the later part of the year. What we're seeing for that later part of the year is like all of these pieces of what you've been working on click into place, and then just like it feeling that area of your life feeling really effortless and empowering and showing up for you. So that is what we're seeing for Miss Gina. And while we were talking about manifesting with her, I want to kind of iterate on that a little bit. There's a lot of, like I said, manifestation, law of attraction discourse out there in the world now because it's a buzzy topic. But make sure that what you're focusing on when you're manifesting, there's a big difference between, I want to manifest XYZ partner. I want to make this much amount of money. I want this job. Then saying things like, I want a relationship that feels really fulfilling and meets all my needs. I want a stable career. I want, that those kind of things. If you're focusing more on how you want to feel, first of all, you give the universe a little bit more wiggle room to align to that desire because it might be happening in a way that is even better than you think. And two, we don't manifest in a vacuum, right? We live in a real world that has real systems in place that sometimes are systemically designed for things not to happen, right? And so we have to be co-creating with the universe. We have to be creating on how we want to feel so the universe can find the best, I was giving that puzzle piece analogy, the best puzzle piece to fit in the slot of like what really works for your life. So that's just a little bit of a we're in new year, new you. I know we all have a lot of resolutions and goals. I certainly do. I will share mine with you. My New Year's resolution is I'm focusing on the energy of choosing me first, really centering my intuition into is this the best, most aligned fit for me in every part of my daily day in my journey. And I'm excited to see where that energy takes me rather than having a specific New Year's resolution of like, I want to lose XYZ pounds, or I'm going to go on 4 dates a month, or that kind of thing. I'm focusing on that energy goal of the year. And that's something that I would strongly recommend to you guys. So I'm going to take a sip of water and then let's do the next question. And I'd love to see on the comments too. Share with me what you are working on manifesting in this new year. Okay. Hi, Precious. Very nice to meet you. The guy you're talking to now, is that going anywhere? How he's feeling? Love it. And his name is Jay. Perfect. Also, Precious, your picture is so cute. I love it. And that's so cute that you guys have birthdays that are so close together. Fun celebrations. Ooh, the sun's jumping out, so we're starting there. Where does the story begin? Swiftly moving. Ooh, like this. Love this for you. Okay. So, what we're seeing is this is going to be a fast moving connection. And the advice from the universe, like right away, is make sure that you are not letting it go in a space that it is so fast that the two of you get uncomfortable because I feel like there is a possibility there. So, you two are going to be very excited about each other. Give yourself space to enjoy that and let it like marinate and like enjoy every point that flows in this relationship. The reason I say that is, yeah, this has potential. Like, yes, a lot. But we see it going like in one of two ways, right? The path where you're kind of focusing on what the next step is or when the next milestone is one that feels a little bit rushed and feels like you're not kind of taking in all of the growth that you are doing together, because we see for the both of you this being a connection where you like, the goal of relationships, right, is not to find somebody that never triggers you. It's to find someone that can hold space for you when you are triggered, because relationships are triggering, you know. It and in this relationship we see, like, if you guys are going on the path of like just allowing yourself to enjoy where you're at, enjoy the moment, really speaking about who what your needs are, really speaking about what you like and dislike, really communicating with each other, this being something where the two of you can, like, like have little arguments or little triggers and be able to say, this is what would make me feel supported moving forward. This is what I need from you moving forward. We're seeing this as an energy of someone who can actually embrace that in a healthy way. And there'll be a learning curve. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve, but it's a connection that I see that's able to make it through that kind of tension. And I love that. So this is one of your stronger soulmates. We're seeing this kind of natural foundation of love and feeling lucky to know each other that you're leaning back on in those times um of feeling that bit of tension, and we see it being a connection that can go long term. I really really like this connection for you a lot. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. So trust your intuition, follow it forward, and that is my advice here. Yes, fun me saying, you joined the session last time and it didn't hold last live. Yes, there were technical difficulties. It was the first day of Mercury retrograde and we had Mercury retrograde problems. But I'm really glad that we were able to get it together for today and that I'm able to be on. I'm very happy to do this for you guys in the new year. Um, let's take let's take another question. And also, if you guys have, oh, Precious says, "Oh my God, thank you. I was feeling like exactly what you said." Oh, that's so sweet. Um, and as a reminder, if you're putting in questions, make sure that you have both of your first names or initials, and your ages, and whatever your question is. That makes it like those are the questions I'm gonna pick because it gives me all of the information I need in the right spot. Okay. So yeah. And also if you guys have any general spirituality questions about like how to embrace your gifts or that kind of thing that you would like me to talk about, I'm gonna talk about random stuff, but if you have something you want me to talk about, just be putting those there. Okay, so Joanne, hi, happy new year. Happy new year to you, Joanne. Joanne from Canada, love Canada. Um, how is Steve feeling about us? We haven't spoken since November 15th. Okay, let me take a look. Take a look. It's in a book. Guys, this is what happens behind the scenes when we're doing a chat reading and um I'm here singing songs to myself. And I'll talk about why that is in a second. Because it has to do with clairaudience. So I'll answer this question and then I'll explain that. But yeah, I'm always here singing songs that come up to me when I'm doing a reading. It's reading rainbow. So Steve doesn't want to admit to himself that he is that he's in love with you in the way that he is. Okay. So what we see from Steve is like, let me be Steve for a second. So like it's this energy of like, I know that I really like and care about her. I know that I'm feeling love, but like what is love? It's like this very kind of existential, not fully admitting to himself the way that he's feeling kind of feeling, you know? Um we're seeing on the subconscious level that there is like this feeling of being lucky to know you and wanting to be in a commitment, but there's this it's like you know that parable about there's like two wolves inside of us, like one wolf wants this, one wolf wants that. It's kind of that energy. Like he has this one wolf inside of him that wants to I said wolf instead of wolf. Let's just ignore that for a minute, even though I completely just pointed it out. Um, he has this one wolf inside of him that wants to be in a kind of commitment where he is fully emotionally engaged and he's meeting their needs, and he wants that with you. He sees the potential, he sees kind of like the long-term view, right? But he's stuck not seeing the forest between the trees because he has this other wolf inside of him that's like, but if I'm giving, I've given so much in the past before to other people that I have overextended myself. What if I'm not able to balance? And so he's struggling with that. That's why he's not communicating, because he has this fear that he's not going to be able to balance what he wants to do. He's going to over commit himself emotionally, and then it's going to just go poorly. And so he's trying to kind of emotionally convince himself that he is ready to connect, that he is ready to open up, that he is ready for balance. And so I feel like there is going to be communication. I will be honest with you. I think that it's still going to be several months that you have to wait before there is kind of he's ready for healthier communication, um, because he's going back and forth on that balance, and the like linchpin here, like the thing that needs to happen before he can communicate in a healthy way is him realizing that he can balance. And that's going to come first in his relationship with friends and family, and realizing, oh yes, I can balance. We see kind of like friends leaning on him more because they're going through stuff, and then him realizing like, oh yes, I can do this. And then that being something that translates back into, I can also do this with this person that I'm in love with, so there is hope here. It's going to take some time. That's why he's going through that in the way that he is. And I do feel very positively about that. Just give it some space. The best thing for your energy, and this is advice for everyone, not just Joanne, okay? When you are in a situation where the person that has captivated our interest is not able to focus on us, doing the same thing that they are doing and taking the time to go back and focus emotionally on what you need, and kind of use the how you're feeling about the relationship as fuel, right? So when we're really upset that they're not communicating, or they're not, or we're really angry, or like whatever feeling that we're not going to feel, like let's first and foremost say all feelings are good feelings. There's no such thing as good vibes only. You don't have to force yourself to be happy all the time. That is, when you do that, you're losing half of your experience as a human being. Okay. But when you're having emotions like sadness, fear, anger, they're really important spiritual tools, right? So if you're feeling really sad or feeling really angry, taking a step back and just letting yourself feel that, but then asking yourself the question, what is this feeling telling me about one of my needs that's not being met? One of my favorite lists for that, like if you Google needs inventory, it's the first thing that pops up. And looking at, you know, like, okay, I'm sad. I'm sad because of the lack of communication in this relationship. Okay, that's telling me I have a need for communication, I have a need for consistency. These are all words on that list. How can I be giving myself consistency? How can I be meeting my need of consistency so that I'm not feeling the sadness in the same way that I am right now? It doesn't like completely eliminate the sadness, right? Of course, you're going to feel the way that you feel about it, but it's giving you something you can do to feel supported and fulfilled in that area when you're not feeling fulfilled by the connection. So that is a piece of advice, is like use those emotions as fuel, use the way that you're feeling about the connection and fuel, and like take that back to you a little bit. Okay. Okay. I'm going to take a sip of water. Um I'm going to take another question, and then I will talk about why I was singing songs and gifts. So, I'm ready for the next question. Natasha is in a connection with one of her soulmates, Kelvin. What can you tell me about this connection? Okay. All right, Natasha, let's take a look. You're so welcome, Joanne. It was very lovely to meet you. And if you ever want to chat more about that, you guys know where to find me on Kasamba, LA Spiritual. And, the kind of, like, detail about the why that I'm going into in these readings, that's my bread and butter. That's what I will do for you guys on live, or in a reading, in a chat. I also, I offer coaching sessions, so we can do that more like of a hybrid of reading and coaching. And if you wanna schedule one of those, we can do that over the phone. So Kazamba has a phone feature. I don't do readings over the phone, but I do, um coaching sessions. So if that's something that you want to do where it's like partial reading, partial hybrid, like what can you be doing with your energy? Like that needs thing that I was just talking about, we would go deep into like how do we meet those needs? How can we create a strategy around that for you? If you want to do that over the phone, we can schedule a session. You just send me a message and then we'll schedule a time for me to turn on the phone feature so you can call. But that is something that I'm happy to do through Kazamba. All right. This is a really strong connection. Soulmate is the right word in this connection. And remember, for those of you who weren't here earlier, soulmate is we have many soulmates. We all have dozens of soulmates. Soulmate is about a kind of connection. It doesn't indicate that that's like the one because we have many. Okay. Um, but what we're here seeing in this connection is that for you, Kelvin is feeling like this kind of renaissance of how he can experience love. He has had a history, like even since childhood, of love feeling very chaotic. Like love kind of being a someone slams the door in your face and then opens it back up and's like, "Oh yes, I'm in love with you," over and over again, and it kind of being like that lack of consistency and chaos. So with you, someone who is um more like measured, someone who is more unconditional in their loving, someone who doesn't play games in the way that people in his past have, it's hard for him to believe that that is real. It's hard for him to believe that he deserves that kind of love, and he's struggling with that. So he's like unequivocally in love with you. Like this man is in love, right? But he is struggling with his ability to accept and receive that love. Um, we're seeing that the good news here about like his ability to receive is I feel like this is a short term problem for him. It's something that he is aware of and is actively working on. It's not like you have to wait for him to like have the aha moment of this is something I struggle with. He knows that this is something that he struggles with. But we're seeing that he is kind of like embracing how do I do this work? Because I want to be able to accept this love. I want to be able to connect with her in real time. Now, I feel like there's a little bit of him getting distracted here. And what I mean by that is like he is leaning back into wanting to embrace chaotic love. So like wandering eyes a little bit, um and kind of communicating with people from his past kind of energy. But I feel like the purpose of that is not because he just wants to, go off and be with other people. It's because he's trying to like internally gauge that distance between no, this is different. Me feeling safe and grounded in this is different. And so I feel like that is not something that's really going to be a long-term fixture either. Him like having those kind of wandering moments because it's for a purpose. So that's what we see here. I do feel like this is a long-term connection. It's just kind of like you can if you've been watching like my energy, my facial energy shifts as I'm feeling different emotions. Like the reason that I'm kinda, like, have, like, scrunched up kind of face is it's just kind of like he's in this place where he's like, "Is this real?" Like, he's a very skeptical kind of energy about love in general, and so it's just kind of like that tension, okay? So it is this is a very good connection. I don't want you to mistake my energy for like, doom and gloom prophetism. But I do feel like he's just kind of not like skeptical about trusting love, even though he wants to. So that's what I'm seeing for this connection. Uh, Before we go to the next question, I want to talk a little bit because this is something that will help everyone. I want to talk a little bit about intuition. Um, so intuition, I was just talking about, my face in the reading and how that all works. So, intuition is what I like to call your clair senses. That is like a my term for it, is made up of four major clair abilities. Clairvoyance, which is the one everybody knows and thinks that means psychic. It's not what it means. I'll tell you what it means. There's clairvoyance, there's clairaudience, there's clairsentience, and there's claircognizance. Each of these are a different type of intuitive ability that we all have. Me, you, the Kasamba people that are watching, like all of us have those intuitive gifts. And as you lean into them, it's like, going to the gym and doing leg day. Like if you are really targeting one intuitive gift, then it becomes stronger, right? So, but we all have those natural gifts. So, clairvoyance is being able to, your intuition comes through visually. So, an example of clairvoyant intuition would be, when you look up at the clouds and can very easily see shapes in it. When you repeatedly see numbers, that means like your intuition comes through clairvoyantly. Clairaudiently is hearing it. So if you like really respond to the mood of songs, if you like really can clearly hear what a baby is trying to communicate when they're like goo goo gaga-ing, when you have lyrics that really stand out and you're like, oh, that really means something, that would be intuition coming through in a clairaudient way. And this is all not psychic ability, it's just our intuition, right? Um, Clairsentience is often people call that being an empath, in a when it's in an intuitive way. When you are like able to kind of recognize people's emotions very easily. That's clairsentience. And claircognizance is just like sudden knowing of information. Like when you're sitting here and you're like, oh, so and so is about to call, and then your phone rings, that's an example of claircognizance, okay? So all of those are intuitive gifts, we all have them, and they work in tandem in readings. So when I'm reading, like my clairsentience is my uh, primary gift, you would say. Like of the four, that's the one that I experience the most. And so when I'm doing readings, when you guys are asking me about how they're feeling, the way that I do that is I kind of like relax my energy and then I let myself feel what they're feeling. I let myself connect emotionally. Then my other gifts, like the other clear senses, will help like work in tandem with that. So like a couple readings ago I started singing a song, and it was the Reading Rainbow song, and the reason that that's coming through for me is because Reading Rainbow, like, has like a certain emotional meaning for me. So the song is giving me more context clues of the emotional energy of that connection. Same thing when I was just making faces, like, I'm like feeling into that energy. Very often, like, I'm a big nerd. Like I love like I've seen every episode of Star Trek. Um, I play Dungeons and Dragons regularly. Like I am a geek, you know, proudly. But a lot of times, like context from like those things that I like I'll visually be seeing something else, or like from a Star Trek episode, and that's something that I will reference with clients who know me really well. I'll tell them where that context is coming from. So that's a little bit how gifts work, but that's something that all of you can be embracing. So let's go ahead and take another question. Hi, Melissa. You broke up with your ex 2 years ago and he never stopped trying to get back with you. Is it worth giving him another chance? Let me take a look. I'm just typing to my lovely Cassandra support friend Emily. Hello, everyone say with your energy hello to Emily. Just typing to her about some logistics. So just while you're wondering why I'm suddenly typing, that's why. All right, Melissa. And you guys can always catch me on Kasamba. I'm always happy to help. So, I don't think he's a long-term person for you, first of all. Um, I feel like the reason that he is trying so hard to get back with you has less to do with the way that he feels and the way that you make him feel, right? Like the motivation is how much you benefit his life and not how much he could benefit yours, right? And there's a lot of relationship dynamics, right? I'm not saying that that is necessarily a bad thing because some people want that kind of dynamic out of a relationship, right? But for your energy, I feel like that's not the kind of partnership that you're seeking. You are seeking a partner that has the emotional capability to understand your needs and to be wanting to meet them because they love you and they're excited to meet them. I feel like for Fernando, he wants to meet your emotional needs because it keeps you placated and keeps you able to meet his emotional needs. It's feels more transactional in this kind of energy than it does feel um, like it's coming from a place of love. Now, I do feel like he would describe himself as in love, right? Because for him, like, and this is not trashing this guy. Like, we're not trashing Fernando on the live, right? But I feel like for him, that's a kind of love that feels normal. Like he feels like that is love, and that is because of his upbringing and his I don't want to use the like trauma word because that's not my place to, but it's like because of his uh the things that he has been through, like the things that have influenced him to get to the point where he is, love becomes a little bit more transactional for that reason. And he thinks that's normal and he thinks that's great and that's how he wants to give love. But I don't feel like that's ever going to fully feel satisfying for you. It's not going to feel fulfilling. And I think that it's for you worth waiting for someone who feels like they're giving from a different place because that's what you need. Now, could you have a happy life with this guy and, have your needs met and like it be okay? Yeah, yeah, you could. But I don't feel like that's what you really want or need. So my advice would be that it is worth waiting for someone who really feels like they check off all the boxes for you. So that is what we are seeing. Okay. Um some of you, I'm going to answer a general question because I see this question being asked. Somebody asked, when will I meet? Um, etc. I don't actually answer time frame questions ever. Even if you came to like chat, I would let you know that time frame readings are not my cup of tea. The reason why is time frame ratings are based on three things. There's like in energy, uh, when like I'm feeling into how different people are feeling into how things will unfold. There's like there's like a flow. Like time isn't real, right? Time is our uh like how we perceive things, but there's science reasons why it's not. I'm not a quantum physicist, so I'm not gonna get into it. That's not my place. But um I say that time isn't real in a little bit of a jest kind of way. But energetically, when we're looking at a time frame, it's based on three things: your emotional energy, the action that you were going to take, and your emotion, action. and your energy, right? So like your capability to flow through things. When you give a time frame reading, that changes two of those things because it changes the emotional energy associated with it, and it changes the action that you are going to take. And I say this from, like, I shared with you guys at the very beginning that when I first started getting readings, when I first started my spiritual awakening journey, I got a lot of readings. Like I was the client who would like talk to like 4 or 5 different psychics a day and be like, "When is he gonna call me though?" Like, so I'm saying this from like a place of love because I have been there. I have asked these questions. But I when I would ask those questions, they'd be like, "Okay, well, he's going to call you in like a week and a half." And I'd be like, "Great." And then I wouldn't do anything. I would not have I wouldn't do the emotional work that I would have naturally done in that week and a half. I would just be waiting for the call. So then the call wouldn't come because I didn't do anything. Like I didn't do any of the like things that would have naturally led to that place, right? So that's why I don't give time frame readings because of time frames readings like ability to like shift. It's like it just to me like it's a question that doesn't really have an answer. So that's yeah. Um Ooh, and I saw a twin flame question. I'll get back there in a second. Um so let me just take another question now. Whenever you're ready, Emily. All right. I'm glad that you got to resend it. Okay, Priscilla, nice to meet you. Relax Daniel, but not sure if he shares the same feelings. I want to move on to, but do I just give him time? Okay, let me take a look. Guys, make sure that when you're asking questions that you're giving birth dates. Um, you don't have to do the year if you don't want to. That's okay with me. And uh, either first names or initials. Initials are fine if you want to maintain that kind of privacy. That's okay with me. Okay. But make sure that you have it somewhere in there. So, like, somebody just asked, like, "How does my husband feel about me?" Let me know your husband's initials, and then I'll be able to do that. So, he does share the same feelings. His ability to move forward is much, much slower than you are. Like every part of this energy is just like sloth like for him. Okay. We are seeing that there's a very, very strong attraction here. Very strong, very genuine attraction here. And that he feels like he wants kind of stability with you. But Daniel feels that he needs to have very firm stability within himself before he is able to give to someone else. Like it's very much like, okay, if I fully have like myself financially and career and like emotionally stable, then I will be able um to then I will be able to have what I want romantically, right? Um it's it's very much like he's kind of moving the goalpost of when he will be ready. So does he share the same feelings? Yes, absolutely. He absolutely does. But I feel like there is just there's so much resistance here. Um, you're saying I want to move on, but do I just need to give him time? I'll be honest, I feel like the time that you would need to give him um is more time than you're gonna wanna give, to be honest with you. I just feel like you are ready for more, love, more connection, more ability to give than he wants to be focused completely on a different area of life, before he is, embracing the connection. So, yeah, I mean If you gave him more time, that you would be waiting for years. That's it. Would it be a happy connection after waiting for years? Sure. But the amount of anxiety that that waiting is gonna call you doesn't feel like it's gonna be something that, is really, helpful for you. Okay? So, I've seen some twin flame questions on here. Um, so, uh, twin flames is a topic that I know a lot about. The connection um, that uh brought me into my spiritual awakening was a strong twin flame connection. We are not together, and I'm very happy about that. So that's a caveat to that. If you want like twin flame readers that are in union, there are some on Kasamba. That is not my perspective on that dynamic. However, I was very involved in the community for a very long time, and like to the point of like being admin for some of the twin flame groups on Facebook. But what I will say is the most important thing to remember in a twin flame um, connection, in a twin flame dynamic, is that the purpose of a twin flame connection is like the purpose of soulmates in general is to lead you through different aspects of your own growth in this lifetime so that you can get to a place where you feel very connected to your purpose, who you're supposed to be. Twin flames do that in a very like truncated kind of way. It's like your soul chooses one person to take you through like healing's greatest hits. You know what I mean? Like they are someone who continuously pops up, takes you through the next layer of healing when you are going through it. And the energy dynamic of twin flame, like a lot of people assume that twin flame means this is the person that I'm supposed to end up with. That is not what the twin flame connection is meant for. The twin flame connection is meant for your healing, and it sometimes ends up in the two of you deciding to do that healing in unionship later in life, but the purpose is your healing. So the reason that a twin flame a dynamic gets so difficult is when we're focusing on the outcome of the romantic relationship with that person rather than focusing on what is this person telling me about myself? What are they telling me about my own energy? How am I they helping me to heal? Sorry, we get stuck in that kind of um, runner chaser dynamic, or that push and pull, and just really focusing on what the outcome will be. But like true, the twin flame community also talks about surrender, and what surrender in that context actually is surrendering to a place where you're like, I trust that however this unfolds is going to be in my highest good, whether that is with us together romantically or if it's not. And I'm going to focus on how they're making me feel about myself, what that's telling me about my different areas of growth, because I know that that's going to lead me through this um, connection, lead me through to this place of um, feeling fulfilled because I have learned what my soul is trying to help me to learn by like utilizing this strong soul connection as that push. So make sure that you're focusing on your healing rather than the outcome, and that's going to make the dynamic of a twin flame connection a lot easier. Oh, I'm seeing some feedback. Yeah, love it. The part about him moving the goalpost. Yeah. Very, very strong connection, yes. And if you guys, that I've read for today, want to message me on Kasamba, and get like just a little bit of clarification on what I said in the reading, I'm happy to help you with that over Messenger because I haven't been able to see anyone's comments. Um, I'm gonna ask my support team how much longer I am allowed to be on. I don't know if there's like a cutoff time, but, I will take another question. Okay. I have, like, 10 minutes-ish left. Oh, yeah. That's totally fine. I could go for 30 more minutes, but I'm not gonna we're in a very different time zone, and I'm not gonna keep her up that late. So I'm ready for another question whenever you are, Emily. Okay. Amelia. My name is Amelia, and your boyfriend Ricky want to know about my love life. Does he love me? Okay. I love that. Let's take a look. Ooh. Sorry guys, I was doing shaky cam because my foot was on the desk and my desk is on wheels. I apologize. Yeah, he's crazy about you. Next question. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, he is crazy about you. What we're seeing on the conscious level is that he sees himself as really more like himself because of you. It's very difficult for him to be vulnerable. It's very difficult for him to feel safe with people. With you, he feels deeply safe. And that is something that he's learning to embrace. I don't feel like he's at a place where he is completely ready to articulate that. It feels as if um it feels as if he is uh focusing through what's the best way to put this? It feels like he is I don't want there's more nuance. What I'm wanting to say is that it feels like he's trying to like feel safe embracing love, but the nuance of that is like he knows that he can embrace love with you, and what he's trying to figure out is like is this something that is like so much of an outlier that like he doesn't want to put too much pressure on you to be the only person that he can receive love from. That's what he's afraid of. Like there's a lot of nuance there. Like the specific thing that he's afraid of is this love that I'm feeling from her like is so special, and um it is very like okay, he feels like this is a lifelong love, and the nuance there is that he's afraid of embracing this love because is that gonna make the rest of his life feel commonplace? Like, it's such a strange kind of nuance, but that's what it is that he knows how much he loves you, and he knows how much he feels loved by you, that it almost makes, like, the rest of the world feel dim, and he's trying to figure that out. It's a very special kind of love that he's feeling. So you might see him feel like be a little bit more, um reclusive or not really expressing that love, but it's like how do I love back something that's the sun to me kind of nuance. It's a very very special kind of love for him. So yes, is crazy about you. All right. So guys, just so you know, I see the questions coming through. I am not choosing them. Someone is choosing them for me so I can just talk to you. So if I'm not getting to you, I apologize. Please send me a message. I'm going to try to do like two more questions here really quick before I have to get off. But it was so lovely to come out here and do these readings for you guys. Okay, so next question, please. Gabriella and Philip, is a long-term relationship possible with this man? And happy new year to you as well. Yes. I do feel like this is a long-term connection. What we're seeing is that for like maybe the first not half, but like um until like the middle of spring season, so like that kind of area, what we see him working on like that first like the first third of the year, that's what I'm looking for. Words are hard. We see the first third of the year him kind of working through some of the um last uh bastions of his inability to embrace vulnerability. Okay. And we see him getting to a place where he's much more grounded and he's much more expressive about his own vulnerability. It's just like, he just kind of has to like rip off the band-aid of letting himself feel safe. But he knows that you are somebody that he wants long term with. Like the way that he feels about you is very strong. The way that he feels about letting himself feel safe is also very strong. So we see him working to embrace that kind of vulnerability, and then it's going to gradually turn into something more long term. So don't think of it as yes, when this date happens, this is when it's gonna like he's gonna suddenly be a different. No, what we see is happening gradually. It's like the beautiful thing about 2023 for you is you get to watch this man fall in love with you, watch him let down his walls, watch that resistance happen. So focus on instead of like where I want it to go, um uh focus on where you want it to go, focus on embracing yeah, like if instead of focusing on what the outcome is, sorry, my words got tied up. Instead of focusing on what the outcome will be, focus on embracing how much you see this shifting and changing, and that's going to build a lot of momentum here. But yeah, this, no matter what you do with your energy, this is going in a long-term way. I just feel like that's the one that's going to make you feel more most grateful and appreciative and embracing the way that this connection flows. Okay, we're gonna do 2 more. So, somebody, so let's do the next one. Joy. Okay, her name is Adora. Hello, Adora. Or we could say it like, what's that show? I wanting to say She-Hulk. She-Ra, where Catcher's always like, "Hey, Adora." My name is Adora, and I feel a really intense connection with Daniel. Wondering what he feels and if you see a reconnection. Let's take a look. Guys, and let's give a huge shout out in the chat to Emily. Emily has been helping me out so much by choosing the questions so that I can just focus all of my energy on helping you guys. So she has been the hostess with the mostest, and has helped keep this going. Because if it was just me and I was trying to read the chat and figure things out, like we would have only gotten like 3 readings in here because I get too distracted. My neurodivergency cannot handle that. So huge shout out to Emily. All right. Okay. So right now, Daniel is in a place where he's feeling a ton of passion towards you. And then also at the same time being like, no, I cannot feel this. It's like very like kind of like internal like dramatization. Like it's almost like kind of like internally like a telenovela, where it's like very like intense emotional reactions and just being like, no, I can't, it's he's trying so hard to not embrace the fact that he feels this really intense connection with you as well, because he's afraid of it. He's not afraid of you, let's be clear. He's afraid of the emotions themselves because they feel so intense. And he doesn't want to get lost. Like it's a little bit of a fear of losing himself to a relationship, losing parts of his personality to being connected to someone he feels so intensely for. And so that is why he's kind of struggling. He's pushing himself away. I do feel like there's going to be a reconnection, but I do feel like it would be best for the two of you to approach that in a really friendly, platonic way first. That's the way that I see it being the most successful because there's a inevitable reconciliation, right? But the reconciliation where you guys both try to jump right back into romance, that leads to this same place of it feeling too intense, and having a separation. If you're starting it out, embracing it in a more platonic way, and really letting yourself like discover who the each one of you are emotionally, giving each other a roadmap to connecting, that is the way that it unfolds in a positive direction. So yes, we do see a reconnection. That would be my advice because that's how you iterate on and make it into long term. Okay. All right, and let's do a last one before I sign off. You guys, it has been such a pleasure to read for you all today. If you want to do a longer reading with me, or connect, or even do coaching, send me a message on Kasamba. I'm going to be a lot over the next week, so I'll be happy to connect with you. And it has been a pleasure. So we will do one last question, and then that will be it for the evening. Awesome. Alexis. His name is Rick. Haven't seen him or been in contact for a year. Why is this a connection that I can't let go of? And should I? You know what? I actually love that this is the last question because this is something that I can give the advice to everyone on. Okay. So I'm going to do that first and then give a little bit more specific on what Rick is feeling. Okay. So when we have a connection like this that is past, like in from our past that we still feel connected to, it's not because it's indicative of the outcome with this person. It's because our soul team is trying to tell us that there's still something to learn from the way that we feel about this person. Okay. So, some of the questions to ask yourself when you're still feeling a connection that you can't let go of is, what does this make me feel about myself? What is this telling me about my beliefs about relationships? What is this telling me about what I need as a human? What is it telling me about how I want to move forward in relationships? And those things that I do believe or feel or need, are those something that's things that I can strategize on meeting myself? Are they some things that are like deal breakers for future relationships? You feel connected because your divine team feels like there is something imperative to learn and heal through and like reflect on from that connection that it would rather not you have to go through in a hurtful way all over again. It's like this signal of, we can either manifest this hurtful thing to you again, or you can reflect on it, move forward, then you can be like not need that lesson to hit your like next higher level of being able to connect, right? So that is without like it like across the board, that is the reason that we still feel connected um to connections um above us, right? Okay. So, Rick specifically about does he think about you? I feel that he does. I feel that he gets a lot of nostalgia for the connection. I don't feel like it's nostalgia of I really want to be in this connection again, but it is like um kind of like a reflection on times that he felt very strongly emotionally, times that he felt very grounded, times he felt at home with himself, and kind of like reflecting on the absence of feeling those things, and what he can do to get back to that feeling. So I feel like you are on his mind, but it's more related to how he was feeling about himself. Um, Instead of how he's feeling towards you. Okay. So it is there, but I feel like it's just more nostalgic for the good times than it is with intentionality to communicate in the future. All right. So that was the last question. It was so a pleasure to meet all of you guys today. I wish that I could do every single one of your questions, but then we would be on for hours. And so, thank you to Kasamba. Um, Thank you to Kasamba for offering the platform for advisors to do this. Having been in the shoes of some of you that like don't get your question answers, I know that that's such a bummer. But it is beautiful that Kasamba offers the ability to give us a platform to read for you. And so there will always be more months, and there's always wonderful readers to check out on the Kasamba website. Whether you choose me, this is my last piece of advice. When you're choosing a psychic, when you're choosing a spiritual advisor, make sure that it's someone that you feel really connected with. Make sure it's someone that you really trust with your energy. Whether it's coming on to a live and seeing how they read like this, because that's the best thing about these kind of lives, right? You get to really see who that person is, how they read. Do they care about your energy? Do they care about your like make sure that you feel really connected to them and how they read. It's worth taking the time to make sure you find the right reader for you. Read through their profiles, that kind of thing. And whether it be me or anyone else on the site that's wonderful, do hope that you guys find the best spiritual support for you in 2023. It was such a pleasure to read for you guys. I hope to see very many of you in chat on Kasamba, and sending you a lot of love. Bye. Happy New Year.